So, Skrulls are the bad guys. And you're a Kree, a race of noble warriors.
Heroes. Noble warrior heroes.
Your life began the day it nearly ended. We found you. With no memory, we made you one of us. So you could live longer, stronger, superior. You were reborn.
I keep having these memories. Something in my past is the key to all of this.
You know how to fly this thing?
We'll see.
That's a yes or no question.
Yes.
Would you like to know what you really are?
I think I had a life here. What aren't you telling me?
You've come a long way, but you're not as strong as you think. This war is just the beginning.
I'm not gonna fight your war. I'm gonna end it.
Aren't you the cutest little thing? Aren't you cute? And what's your name, huh?
Fury.
What's cute? I'll be back.
Hey everybody, it's Charlie. We got brand new Captain Marvel footage to break down and a whole bunch more of the stories. We have a little bit more on her backstory and how they've changed it a little bit from the comics. This is like Marvel's week for new footage, so we'll do a new round of that IMAX ticket giveaway too. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber and leave your favorite moment on the video. The big thing here is that they just take you through the Skrulls and explain a little bit more. You get to see Talos full on. You get some voiceover from Ben Mendelsohn. They're talking about the Kree-Skrull war. I'm not going to fight your war. I'm going to end it. When he says this war is only the beginning, I don't think that he's talking about Infinity War or Avengers 4 or anything like that. I think that he's just implying that the Skrulls are going to continue spreading and trying to conquer the universe. I do love the way they recut her clocking that old lady on the Los Angeles subway. So you see all those people just staring at her like, why is she dressed like that? Then just as he mentions her being one of the good guys, she just clocks her right in the face. Like, I'm a good guy clocking a little old lady in the face. But as you see, they're super strong too. I know people have been asking about Super Skrulls. As far as I know, they're nowhere in the film. The way you see Jude Law later, they sort of call him out a little bit more as a villain in this trailer. He's still Kree. We'll talk about him in a second, because there's just so many other big ideas that they throw at you in this. When she says that she's part of a race of noble warrior heroes, you can see that she's kind of drunk the Kool-Aid. This point in the movie may not be where she started to try and figure out what her backstory is yet, because then you get later voiceover where she's like, I'm getting these visions of a past that I may have had. So that might happen a little bit later with Talos trying to manipulate her. Because it sounds like she's stuck in the middle. Like you get the Annette Bening voiceover. We thought that she was playing her mother in the movie, but now you can see that she's a pink-skinned Kree made to look a little bit like a human. She kind of explains what's going on when she's getting her powers here. Obviously, you don't get the whole scene, so there's still a lot of misleading footage here, but you see her bleeding green Kree blood. I don't think we've seen them draw this greenish, bluish-looking Kree blood since that first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. But if you missed my earlier trailer videos, yes, this is definitely Korath from the first Guardians of the Galaxy film. He and Ronan came back for this. They're not quite as evil during this period in time, but this is meant to be about 20 years before those events, so Ronan is still noble Kree warrior of the Empire. He hasn't quite gone off the deep end yet, but I think that probably has something to do with this ongoing Kree-Skrull war, so maybe Captain Marvel has something to do with precipitating his fall off the deep end. Pretty clear, though, that she gets into the accident here. She starts bleeding green Kree blood. She's crackling with energy. This is probably after the explosion that they have later in the trailer. you see someone walking up in a Star Force uniform. That's probably Jude Law's character. Then you get more Annette Bening voiceover finishing the dialogue saying, "We found you with no memory. We made you what you are today." So that explains the memory loss. But then you also see her upside down when she talks about them making her. Even though Annette Bening seems like a really nice person that you would put in a movie, she's played some really hardcore female characters in her time, so it seems kind of sinister having her do this. Maybe she's trying to pour Carol Danvers a whole bunch of Kool-Aid as they're filling her with green Kree blood. There's also a really important line of dialogue that Annette Bening gives us too that explains Captain Marvel in present day, so that you could live longer, stronger. So her lifespan has naturally been extended, which explains why 20 years in the future she would still look like this young version of Brie Larson. All the shots of her with the Mohawk giving off those blasts look like when she's still part of Star Force, they're on a mission early in the film before she comes back to planet Earth. So this is just her being a badass, noble warrior of the Kree Empire without knowing anything different. But the really twisted thing is that you get a wider shot of her inside that mind wipe device, and you see that it's one of the Skrulls next to her. Do you know what you are? I know there are a lot of people that want to back the theory that she secretly might be a Skrull. I don't think that's exactly what's going on here. I do think that they're trying to maybe implant some false memories or just mess with her head, but the color of her blood is a little bit closer to Kree than it is to Skrulls. Skrulls have more traditionally green, solid green looking blood, and hers is more of a bluish tinge. Jude Law seems like he was there in the explosion, and the opportunity presented itself for them to use this amazing new super powerful weapon that she says later in the trailer is capable of ending their war. So you just have a bunch of different people trying to take advantage of her, both the Skrulls and Jude Law's Star Force character. This is her waking up on that ship. You also see her with Jude Law a little bit later. Even though he looks human, he's a pink-skinned Kree, and it's implied that there's maybe a romance between them. I don't know how much they're going to get into that during the film. Another big shot of Monica Rambeau's mother, her giving her that little call sign. Someone might show that to her and she might remember it from her Air Force days. Because it's not clear how much time passes between her accident, getting her mind wiped, and then her winding up back on Earth. The ship that they're in here for this funny scene where he's like, "Do you know how to fly this?" seems like a prototype of one of the Quinjets. So maybe they'll pay this joke off during Avengers 4 when she tries to fly one of them. This obviously doesn't look like planet Earth, so it might be some later big conflict between the Kree and the Skrulls. The ship where she walks on and you see her helmet come off, she got a little blood on her lip. This seems like the same Skrull ship, where you see the Skrulls walking through the corridor here and you get that Ben Mendelsohn voiceover. "Would you like to know what you really are?" He's probably the one that spills the beans that she's really a human that the Kree manipulated into thinking that she was a Kree. The interesting thing here too is it looks like she's getting into a fight with Talos or one of the other Skrulls in this big accident here. But I do think right after she gets her powers, this Skrull is trying to kill her in this moment before she figures out what's going on. Maybe what happens is she just automatically, without realizing it, uses her powers, and then Jude Law witnesses that and says, "Okay, why don't I just take the opportunity here to grab this person that doesn't know who they are and use them as a weapon against the Skrulls in our war with them." Seems like Nick Fury takes her to a SHIELD base where she starts reading all of her own personnel files, trying to learn more about her history. This shot seems like it's before her accident happens, when they're chasing each other, then they get into the fight, crash, then the explosion happens. There's a broken tag she's looking at that says Carol Dan with the rest cut off. The interesting thing is that her Kree name in the movie is just Vers, so that's Carol Danvers with the Carol Dan cut off. So the reason they give her that Kree name is probably because she has the other half of this dog tag on her. It probably just got blown up in the explosion that gave her powers. This shot where he says you're not as strong as you think you are, being really patronizing to her, which obviously it's a big misdirect because she is one of the most powerful people in the MCU, is probably happening earlier in the film before they go on just a regular Star Force mission. This kind of looks like a Kree ship. It's hard to tell underneath those masks there, but they don't look exactly like Skrulls. But this looks like she's just trying to take out both of these forces. Obviously the Skrulls are evil, they're villains in the film, but also the big twist is that Jude Law and the Kree have been manipulating her. Like when Talos says, "This war is just the beginning," he's probably referring to an escalation where their war will consume the entire universe. So to make a Thanos pun, she probably wants to stop one side from using nukes and blowing up the other half of the universe. Which obviously we know later happened when Thanos assembled the Infinity Gauntlet. This is Talos in his human form. Remember, he's one of Coulson and Nick Fury's supervisors. All you can say about this shot though is when she says, "I'm going to end your war," is that she has gone full-blown Super Saiyan. And then obviously they do the cat. So in the comics, her cat is named Chewie after Chewbacca for Star Wars reference, but in this movie, it seems like they're naming him Goose after Top Gun because she's an Air Force pilot. Let me know what you guys